Wire fraud is one of the fastest-growing criminal threats in modern real estate transactions. The wire fraud advisory exists because criminals actively target buyers, sellers, agents, lenders, and escrow officers using email spoofing, phishing attacks, and hacked accounts. Real estate transactions are prime targets because they involve large wire transfers and sensitive financial data transmitted electronically. Unlike inspection disputes or financing delays, wire fraud does not simply cancel a contract. It results in stolen funds that are often unrecoverable. In most cases, there is no insurance coverage for funds voluntarily wired to a fraudulent account. Once money leaves a buyer's bank and is deposited into a criminal's account, recovery is unlikely. Why real estate transactions are targeted, high-risk environment. Real estate transactions require wire transfers for earnest money and closing funds, transmission of bank account information, sharing of social security numbers. Email communication between multiple parties. Criminals monitor or impersonate transaction participants and send fraudulent wiring instructions that appear legitimate. These emails often look identical to authentic escrow communications. Phoenix example: buyer receives email that appears to come from escrow with updated wiring instructions. Buyer wires $150,000. Funds are sent to offshore account. Closing cannot occur, and funds are unrecoverable. Core rule: never trust email wire instructions. The advisory emphasizes a strict rule: never trust wiring instructions sent by email without independent verification. If a buyer receives wiring instructions electronically, the buyer must personally call the escrow officer using a verified phone number obtained independently, not from the suspicious email. Mesa example: buyer receives last-minute email stating wiring instructions changed. Buyer calls escrow officer directly using previously confirmed office number. Escrow confirms email is fraudulent. Fraud prevented. Personal financial information protection. Fraudsters often attempt to obtain login credentials, banking information, or request document downloads. Any unexpected email requesting personal or financial data should be treated as suspicious until verified. Tempe example: email asks buyer to reconfirm bank routing number. Buyer calls escrow and confirms request is fake. Verification protocol, best practice standard. The advisory establishes a verification protocol. Do not rely on email alone. Personally call verified number. Never use phone number provided in suspicious email. Confirm instructions verbally before sending funds. Professional rule: always verify by voice before you wire. Immediate response: if fraud occurs, time-sensitive action. If a wire is sent fraudulently, the victim must immediately notify their bank, notify escrow or title company, request recall of wire, file FBI IC3 complaint. Speed matters. Banks have a short window to freeze or recover funds before they are transferred again. Broker duty of care and risk communication. Arizona licensees must exercise reasonable care under AAC R4 28-1101. Providing and explaining the wire fraud advisory demonstrates professional diligence. Agents should verbally explain the advisory, not merely obtain signatures. Best practice: review the advisory at contract signing and again prior to closing when wiring instructions are issued. Important client communication script: never wire funds based solely on an email. Always call escrow at a known verified number before sending money. Repetition saves transactions. Discussion question: why are real estate transactions particularly vulnerable to wire fraud? Answer: because they involve large wire transfers and electronic transmission of sensitive financial information. Discussion question: what is the safest way to verify wiring instructions? Answer: call the escrow officer directly using a verified phone number obtained independently. Discussion question: what should a victim do immediately after discovering fraudulent wiring? Answer: contact their bank and the settlement title company immediately to attempt a recall.